introducing Vicki Cobian as our first retiree. Vicki came up to me the other day and said, Michelle, I've been asked who I'd like to speak on my behalf at the retirement celebration. Those people that know me best don't necessarily like speaking in front of people. Would you do it for me? I am truly honored to speak today. Vicki emailed me a list of dates, data. She's thinking if I stick with the numbers, I'm not going to get emotional today. So keep calm and carry on. I came prepared. Mrs. Cobian is an Ellsworth native, the oldest of 6. Both of her parents and many of other relatives are educators. As a child, Vicki would play school with her siblings. And as her brother Dan can attest to today, she was the oldest. She was always the teacher. Her calling came early in life. Her dad worked his way up to superintendent in Ellsworth. In high school, Vicki played the French horn and performed in many musicals. Most importantly, she met the love of her life, Mike. Last fall, they celebrated 40 years of marriage. Vicki is joining Mike in retirement now. Mike retired from 3M, where he was a physicist and patent liaison. Together they raised 3 children, Jackie, Dan, and Alex. Jackie has followed in Vicki's footsteps, not only making delicious cookies, but also becoming an English teacher. Jackie is also an author and has continued to inspire students here in New Richmond. She has shared her book with our students here in New Richmond and shared her passion. Dan and Alex are working towards their PhD, one in rehabilitation science and the other in artificial intelligences. On Monday mornings, without Vicki coming in, each Monday morning she would come in and show me the next greatest YouTube video that Dan was starring in. So I'll keep looking for those, Vicki, but feel free to send me those links. Vicki earned her BS at UW River Falls with a double major in elementary education and English. Her very first teaching experience was an internship in 1976 and 77 right here in New Richmond. When we moved into the new middle school 3 years ago, Vicki says, this is where I was about 35 years ago, almost the exact same room that she had started her education in. Now, if it's the exact same room, why, when we would have our first tornado drill, would Vicki take her students out of the interior classroom across the hall to Mr. Gruber's room? I'm not quite sure. That's what she thought she should do. Following that internship, Vicki taught in Ellsworth for 4 years, then stayed at home with her children and worked part-time for the church for 15 years. Vicki returned to New Richmond in 1995 and is finishing her 18th year. She has spent all but one of those years in her current position of 8th grade language arts and literature. The position has changed over the years, but has provided opportunities for Vicki to teach a little American history, a little Spanish, and even a course in history cinema, but always language arts and literature. At New Richmond Middle School, Vicki has also worn many hats. She has served as team leader, a new teacher mentor, the building spelling bee coordinator, and a member of the BAT Scholarship Selection Committee, and a cooperating teacher for 5 different student teachers. One of her student teachers shared with me, Vicki was always so positive and so calm, so nurturing and so sincere. It was a great way to enter the profession. Mr. Canwisher commented, no matter how late I stayed, I always knew I would leave before Vicki did. However, after one long day when most everybody was out of the building, another colleague found Vicki at work, at her desk, correcting pen in hand, a stack of essays on her desk, resting her eyes. Yeah, she had fallen asleep correcting those papers. Vicki was a member of the district reading department, the language arts department, and sometimes both at once. She served on numerous committees, including handbook revision, grading program revision, retention, but most importantly, the selection committee in 2003 to hire their new assistant principal and activities director. Good choice, Vicki. She was a regular host of SOS Players and the CIP inmates. She was a planner of a variety of field trips and contact for the Fine Arts Council. Though writing was her vehicle for students, students were truly her passion, the whole child. Between 1998 and 2012, Ms. Cobian has taken over 600 8th grade students on tours to Washington, D.C. One of her former students shared a story with me. I know I wanted to be a social studies teacher after the 8th grade trip we took to Washington, D.C. Ms. Cobian was so passionate about the adventure year after year. I specifically remember her telling me at the Lincoln Memorial that every year she learns more and more about our history, and I was fascinated by that. She also explained that we should all be lifelong learners, because that is how we grow and strive to reach our full potential. That conversation that we had that day at the Lincoln Memorial has stuck with me ever since. And now, I think I'm striving to be like Vicki Cobian, a lifelong learner. And hopefully I can inspire other students the way she inspired me. I recently heard a story about a 10-year-old golfer who had shot an eagle. For those of you that aren't golfers, an eagle is 2 under par, or what a good golfer would shoot on the hole. This was a par 4-7, and the boy chipped the ball in on the second shot. As he and his father headed up the 8th fairway, they see this young man on hole number 2. The young man's a really good college golfer who's just back for the summer. The boy yells across, "I got an eagle on 7." The father, expecting that the college golfer would just yell, "Nice job, way to go." Now, he sees that golfer walk across the course, walk up to the young man and say, "Tell me your story." Vicki, we know you're not a golfer, but we just want to say thank you for inspiring so many young people in our district to tell their story.
My first day here, first in-service day, I came in, I still remember my outfit, white pumps, big white earrings, a green and white dress. Everybody else was in polos and shorts. Yeah, didn't know what in-service looked like. It's an honor to be described like that by someone I've so much admired as a teacher first and administrator. Michelle, thank you. This last week of school has not felt terribly different from every other last week of school. The rush to grade students, late work, the minor chaos caused by many special activities, the packing up of one's classroom and inventory of materials, students throwing up in every spare wastebasket. Okay, we did have some extra challenges in this. But I participated in the usual last week activities without, I think, actual realization of how important this one is for me. Retired teachers tell me that when the buses roll in the fall, I will have to accept that, like a 3-year-old watching from the window, I am not going to school. My own work in education has been described by Michelle, but I would like to just say a few things about all of you for whom that work goes on. First of all, thanks for the ideas, the laughs, the favors, the encouragement, the inspiration, the forgiveness. Thank you. As teachers, you live and work with this challenge. You are a person who wants to change the world, make it a better place. And every day you are a witness to the kinds of suffering that many of the next generation have to suffer, have to shoulder. But although you can instruct them in groups of 20 or 30, you have to see and understand them individually, even if 150 pass through your room each day. You come to realize that sometimes the best you can do is like the man in the story, pluck beach starfish from the sand and pitch them into the ocean one at a time. Thankfully, there are moments like this one when you realize you are surrounded by other people who know what it's like to take dozens of young faces and voices home with them at night, and even wake up thinking about them. Like some of you, I've spent evenings baking cookies for kids who have never been able to bring a birthday treat to school. I've scrawled at the top of a student's paper, "This essay was graded over the Pacific Ocean," because sometimes our homework even has to go on vacation with us. And I'm sure many of you have significant others who get to know several students' names each year by listening to your stories at night. In fact, I'm sure you'll recognize the extent of my husband's supportiveness when I tell you that I can't remember him ever answering anything but sure when asked if he'd like to hear a few 8th grade essays read aloud in the car. Three of my siblings have spent many years of their lives in the military, and I'm extremely proud of them. Their dens are decorated with shelves of mounted airplane models, large photos taken on carrier decks, framed certificates, medals, and ribbons in glass cases. And as I packed up my classroom a couple days ago, I was thinking of how few trophies I have to represent my achievements in education. Just a manila envelope I've named Warm Fuzzies. Full of notes that have been folded about 12 times, parent emails, a few newspaper clippings. I was surprised at how the objects in my drawers and cupboards that represented my best ideas just look like a lot of dusty junk now. Most not even worth putting in a free box at the teacher's office. I surprised myself by dropping a broken replica telephone into the trash on Friday. It used to be an important prop I used every Halloween when I darkened the room and played the suspenseful 1940s radio drama, Sorry, Wrong Number. I realized on Friday that the magic of that experience was never in the phone. It was in the kids. I'm only 60, so I hope I'm not presumptuous here to play the sage, but I'd like to offer 2 words of advice to all teachers in these challenging times. Trust yourself. Trust that you are called teacher for a reason, and it's a good reason. You know things about children and teens and what they need and deserve from their schools. Trust your own judgment, and trust that your sacrifices are making a difference. Sometime in the future, if it hasn't already happened, a man or woman in his or her 40s will see you on a street or in a store and will bring a whole family over to meet you. He will proudly introduce you to his children as my teacher, and you will know that you have led a privileged life, that you have changed the world.